Welcome back to our channel. I'm Dior. I was gonna say I'm IJ. I'm Dior.
And I'm IJ.
So we missed you guys last week. We didn't get to record. There wasn't a ton that happened, so we'll just do a short recap in the beginning, and then we will start with this week's episode of Put a Ring on It. So we're at the end of season 2. It was a good season. It was a
It
lot
really
of
was
drama.
a
Really good
lot.
season.
But we learned a lot too about ourselves.
I think we did. I think we did. So just to do a short recap of last episode, which was episode 10 of season 2, both couples, both of the remaining couples, Eric and Jessica, and LaRonda and Sean got engaged.
Yay.
Were you surprised?
I was not surprised about Sean and LaRonda. I was very surprised about Eric and Jessica. Wasn't expecting it, but okay. I'm not there. We don't get to see what goes on behind the scenes. I feel like Eric has grown a lot. I feel like Jessica is trying to grow. So maybe they're working things out.
Yeah, I think they did, like you said, they did learn a lot about themselves, about their relationships, about what they wanted out of their relationships. So I don't, because of that, I didn't necessarily think they were in a place to get engaged. I thought maybe they should take that information and work on rebuilding their relationship to make it stronger. But it's not to say that they can't do that while being engaged. I guess being engaged is just saying that I'm committed to working on this with you. So I really hope, I think at least one of them, maybe Eric, will drive them to keep moving forward towards progressing. So I'm excited to see what happens in the future.
Yes, me too. Definitely, I am too. So we'll have to
So
keep
we
up on
started,
social media.
yes, we do. So we started this episode with those two couples. So we started with LaRonda and Sean first. They did a little recap. We found out that they have not set a date yet. They're still engaged though.
Mm-hmm.
Sean has some things coming up with his entertainment career, which is good, I think, because one of the reasons why he wasn't ready to get married was because he felt like he was unstable in his career. So
Correct.
hopefully that means that he has a little bit more security. And I'm sure that that would be good for their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We also met some of their past dates, and kind of they talked about like what they were interested in that person. I think we all know that Sean really wasn't interested in developing anything with anybody.
He really wasn't.
And LeBron,
He knew
go
what he
ahead.
wanted from the very beginning. He wanted LaRonda.
Yeah. And I think to a certain degree, it was the same for LaRonda, but then she met one person that kind of intrigued her a little bit, and that was
Right.
Derek.
Right, right. And I
So,
think that I do want to say it was funny when Sir James mentioned that she thought Sean was LaRonda's son. That was hilarious. He got
I
upset.
thought it was because he was short, but I think you thought that he said it for a different reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's small, and he was just calling him a boy because it doesn't make sense in reality. Sean looks like a grown A man. LaRonda does not look like she had him when she was 10. So his little comment didn't even make any sense whatsoever. So for Sean to get upset about it was funny. LaRonda was like, shh, shh, keep it quiet, but he had to say something, so Sir James got his 10 minutes of fame and kept
I
it
think
moving.
I think Sean still has a little bit to work on in terms of his insecurities and jealousy, because you can see his face tightening up and being tense the whole time. Any of her former dates talk, and when LaRonda said that if Sean wasn't in the picture, that Derek would be on the roster, he was not feeling that.
Yes, he wasn't.
Especially when now this is your fiance saying it. It's not just your girlfriend, it's your
Mm-hmm.
fiance. Like, can we just dial it back a little bit? So he was upset about that. But yeah, I think because they seem to have done a little bit of the work prior to and having like a kind of a constant stable relationship. So I think just the information that they received during this experience will only make things a little stronger. And I do think that they will actually get married.
Yeah. Okay, so Eric and Jessica, I'm surprised, of course, we're both surprised that Eric and Jessica got engaged. I
Mm-hmm.
do wish them the best of luck. Right now, they haven't set a date yet. They're finished building their home in Orlando. So I mean, that's great. I mean, that's a big commitment when you're building a home with somebody. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
commitment in itself. But I was surprised because during the reunion, I thought there was such chemistry between Eric and what was that lady's name? Leilani.
Leilani.
Yeah, Leilani. I thought they had quite a bit of chemistry. And, Jessica, I think, saw that chemistry too. And she did state in there that she felt disrespected during that time because of the touching that was going on. I mean, I thought it was disrespectful when he laid his head on her chest. That would have been an instant no-go for me. You don't do that. So that's why I was
that
surprised.
one thing, the one thing I want to point out about that, because it's like almost, he was almost in a similar situation as Kai and Darion, except for, of course, I do believe that Leilani was more respectful of his relationship than Kai was. But did you see how he responded to, like, how he talked about the temptation and
Oh,
how he was
yeah.
able to withhold himself, or like completely different than Darion? I
Yeah.
mean, Darion was over there egging Kai on. Oh, what would you do? Ooh, I hope you don't kiss me, but I wouldn't mind. Like he was just egging her on and enabling her. Whereas Eric was kind of like, yeah, he had to set some boundaries. And even Leilani did communicate that Eric had set boundaries
Mm-hmm.
um, when they were like, he didn't want her number, all the things that didn't happen in Darion's relationship with Kai.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, again, I think if they continue to go through therapy and really like work on themselves and their relationship, I think there's a potential. There's definitely heart there. So, I mean, that means something.
Right. Okay, so we've gotten those two couples done and over with. So now we get to the really nitty gritty part of what everybody's been waiting to hear about. But before we do, I did want to drop some gems that Dr. Nicole did talk about during the season. And these gems, I think, has helped the couples grow, has helped myself grow, and it's gems that anybody can use during their daily lives with the relationships that they're in. And I think the biggest one that she said that really hit me and hit the couples, especially Eric and Jessica. And unfortunately for Lexi, it was the truth. Feelings are facts for her. She felt in the deep of her stomach that something was wrong. But feelings are not facts. How you feel is not always facts. And sometimes you can take your feelings and try to make them into facts. And that in itself sometimes warps our minds into thinking that we're right when we're not right. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's something that we really should take into consideration when you're talking to your significant other, that feelings are not always facts. And
But to
that,
your point, I mean, you do have instincts. And so you have to trust your instincts. And I think that's where you just try to find the truth in what you're feeling. And
mm-hmm,
I think that's kind of where she was going. Don't just like base your decisions and your actions based on what you feel. But if you feel something and you have a little bit of um, evidence to support it, I think you need to really find out the truth
mm-hmm.
about what it is that you're feeling.
And communicate whatever you find, however you're feeling, to your significant other. You should feel safe enough to communicate those feelings to your
And the
significant
other person
other.
has to communicate to fill in the gaps, because you have these feelings because you're missing something, some part of the picture from your significant other. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I think that's very important.
right. Managing yourself and not trying to fix the other person. You can't fix somebody. People have to fix themselves. You can't fix somebody. You might be able to lead them and show them different ways of doing things, but they ultimately have to take the responsibility to want to fix themselves. So you need to learn to manage yourself and the situation around you and not worry about fixing people and so forth. Because as much as you try, you're not going to fix a grown person. They have to be ready to make changes in their lives, you know. And I think the last thing that she said that really hit me was do the work to decide to move forward. You have to be able to do that work to decide to move forward. And that goes along with, okay, feelings are not facts, okay? But do the work to make changes that you realize that you need to do. Just like we saw that with Eric and Jessica. They had different love languages. They had to learn the other person's love language and then put the work in by making changes in their behavior to show that other person that they love them by incorporating that other person's love language into their daily life, or, you know, providing that specific type of love language to them. So I think that's what she means too by doing the work, deciding to do the work to move forward. And maybe that's what happened with those two. Maybe they learned each other's love languages and began to use those. But for Lexi and Darion, they were too far gone.
They brought them out to start. So they always bring the couples out first. And then they kind of recap the season, what happened, how the experience went for both of them. And, you know, so they're on the couches, and Alexia talks about how if it weren't for the experience, she may have been engaged to him and not have known that this happened, or that he was being unfaithful to her. When she said that, though, I was like, well, first of all, I think if it weren't for the experience, you definitely wouldn't have gotten engaged. But I do think that he did plan to propose to her during the experience because he slept with Kai.
Right.
I don't know if they would have ever gotten married, but I think he would have proposed to her.
Right.
Because it was a tactic, especially, I think it was definitely a tactic to get her back. Him calling all the producers and saying that he wants to marry her, he has a ring. That's just manipulation.
He said in the show during this season, he said that, you know, the last episode we saw them, that he was trying to do things to get her ready for what he was going to eventually have to tell her. So that was a form of his manipulation, again, of the situation and trying to control the situation around them. Had he gotten engaged to her, had the producers not had them do the final closure date, and we wouldn't have learned about it, he would have proposed to her. They would have been engaged, but I believe that Kai would have eventually came out and told the truth, and it would have stopped the marriage from happening.
Because that's the kind of person she was.
You're not going to hide.
Yeah, he's a textbook narcissist, and it was really like painful to see all of this unfolding because, I mean, they had been in a relationship for 14 years on and off, and it just is hurtful that you can't even admit that you made a mistake, that you have been unfaithful. Because we know this is not the only time. Why would you choose your only time to be unfaithful to her is when you're on camera? That doesn't make sense. So we know this is not the only time you've been unfaithful to her, but you would rather place the blame on her. Oh, she wasn't having sex with me. We were arguing too much. I wasn't happy. All of those things.
His needs weren't, his needs weren't being fulfilled, but he was gonna self-sacrifice and fulfill her needs by proposing to her. No, that's not what she was asking for.
Well, no. He said that when he said that he was never gonna propose. He said he was not gonna propose because his needs weren't met. And then later when she brought up the fact that he had contacted the producers and said that he's gonna propose, then he was like, yeah, that's true. He's a liar.
He lied to the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
Did you remember when he started yelling, "You're a liar and you lied. Yeah, this show brought up so many lies that you've told and da-da-da." I was like, what lies? because I'm still waiting to hear one line that she said during this whole entire season. I didn't see it, and that was very sad. So, what did you think when Egypt? I think Egypt, through the whole entire thing, did not like Darion. She saw him for what he was, a manipulator and liar. Lexi called him a narcissist. That has now stuck, I believe. He was trying to save face through the whole thing by trying to control the narrative. But luckily for us, everything was recorded. So we got to see the true Darion. So what did you think when they brought Kai out and sat Kai next to him?
Yeah, I mean, I just hate that there are women out there like that, because I mean, it's bad enough. Relationships are bad enough, like having to communicate with someone, get on the same page with someone that may have different views than you or perspectives, may have different communication styles or willingness to communicate even. Mm-hmm. That's already hard enough. Then to have other people out there who don't respect the fact that you're in a relationship and is trying to get what they want, doesn't even have the common sense to realize that if this person is cheating on a 14-year relationship for you, that's not going to be someone that's going to commit to you.
Okay, but let's take it back. Sometimes women can be manipulated. We all know that. We all know that men can be manipulated too. We all know that. But in this instance, it's two women. He was telling both women different things. He was telling.
It doesn't matter. But from the first date, though, Kai was, "What would you do if I kissed you?"
Aggressive. She was aggressive.
How are you trying to? Yeah, how are you trying to find love? She said she came on the show to find love. That's.
She did her job.
You should try to get to know the person. She did do her job, and I mean, it did benefit, even though it probably embarrassed Alexia for it to be on public, for it to be on TV. She said is that she needed evidence. She had all the gut feelings, but she kept going because she didn't have the evidence.
Right, and Egypt told Kai, you gave Lexi a gift. You gave Lexi the gift of the truth. And knowing that you gave that to her, Lexi's not mad at you, but that's besides the point. But that was, that was her job on the show, to show what type of person Darion really was. And
but I really hate that she just kind of, I don't know, like chose to be angry at Lexi because Lexi was upset that she she was dating him.
He told her that they weren't in a relationship, that him and Lexi were not in a relationship.
But you came on the show because you're dating someone that's in a relationship.
I know, but he's.
I think what we're not doing is, like, I understand that people can be manipulated, but that's not an excuse.
No, it's
because she's a 32-year-old woman. She has 2 children of her own. She has enough common sense, you would think, to be able to discern fact from fiction to a certain degree. She just wanted. She probably, because he was a rapper. He was a rapper
back in the day.
She probably wanted, a little piece of that.
Right.
And she probably wanted the TV action,
she wanted exposure. She wanted exposure. Yeah. But we also know that he controlled the relationship because she wanted him to speak for them at times, So Darion, how many, after what date number did you say it was? She was willing to go.
I think it's because she knew that he lied. And so she didn't want to be the one to call him out. So she wanted him to say it,
he said,
or she wanted to say, huh?
He said date number 3.
Well, prior to Friday's episode, it was after the last date, after date number 4. And he made it seem like, oh, just like I said before, it was after date 3. No, that's not what you said before. And I wish someone had said that. I mean, Lexi did roll her eyes, but no, that's not what you
No.
said.
So let's just say, so he called Lexi a liar. That was a lie. He told her after date number 3, but it was date number 4, but it's actually date number 3. That's another lie. He said that he never was going to never propose to her. We find out that's another lie. So is there another lie that we need to expose in this?
What do you mean?
He lies completely. The whole
Oh
from the
yeah,
beginning of the
he's
episode
a
to the
liar,
end.
a narcissist. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you know what? I think Kai didn't know when he said that he was going to marry, that he had bought a ring and was going to propose. I think they said that when she was sitting on the couch. Is that when she got up and left and said, I can't do this no more?
No, because that was one of the first things that they said, and she was like, I didn't know that. She did continue to talk, but I think it's that she was hearing more things. They asked her if she thought she was a rebound, and I think that's when it started to hit her that, you
Mm-hmm.
know what, he's been lying to me too.
Right.
Because when she ran to the back and she went into the bathroom, she was like, "Was I just a rebound?" She was asking him that,
Right.
and he was
Did
like,
you think it was
"No,
interesting
lying."
that he ran after her?
No, I mean, what else was he gonna do?
But why was
At
he
that
running after
point,
her? That means they
at
have a
that point,
relationship.
he never said they didn't. When she said that they were in a relationship, he just kind of smirked. He never said that they weren't.
Yeah, I think he was doing it to get. I wanted to bring this up. I think that the whole thing with Kai, I believe, was an effort to get back at Lexi. I believe that it was an effort to get back at Lexi
For what?
because I don't think he really is that interested in Kai. I think
It's not about him being interested. He's been cheating on her all along. So it's
yeah,
not.
he has.
It's
But
just another person that he could get easily that he got. I don't think it was anything. I don't think it had anything to do with getting anything back at Alexi. It's just getting. He thought he could get away with it because he had been getting away with it
oh,
for
that
so
part
long.
I believe, yeah. That part, the cheating part, I believe. But this whole thing with with Kai being there, him and Kai being in a relationship, for some reason, I'm feeling like he's just trying to get back at her. But
I
I
don't
would,
think so. I think he's a user, and we'll talk about the. So there was an interview with Kai and Alexia, that we'll talk about in a little bit. But there was one scene that I don't think was in the show that I saw on YouTube on the own channel on YouTube. So I'll link that in our description box. But it was when they brought Lexi's former dates out. So they brought out Chris, is the
mm-hmm.
one with the thick beard, and they went on a batting cage date, and Monte, and that's the
So
one that she went to play
tell me,
basketball with.
okay, tell me about this because I didn't see it. What did you see on OWN?
So, I mean, just like with the other couples, they talked about the dates. Darion was there beside the two men. And, they just asked Lexi, because, when Lexi went on those dates, she really wasn't giving them a lot of
No, she
energy. She
didn't.
was more worried about what was going on with Darion than really trying to get anything out of those dates, even though she gave Monte 2 dates. So, they they asked the two guys like what they liked about the dates, how the dates went, and they kind of said the same, that they could tell that she wasn't really there, you know emotionally
Mm-hmm.
to for the dates, but um Egypt told, I think it was Chris, well, no, Egypt told Monte, she was like, that Alexia is single now. He was like, yes, I do know. And then Alexia said that she talks to him. They talk almost every other day. They have developed a friendship.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And then I'm not sure exactly how it came up with Chris, but Chris said he would go on a date with her again.
And this is the friend
Um,
of Darion.
Yeah. Oh, he for someone to not care about her, and he even went to the point to say that they weren't in a relationship. Remember what he said, that they weren't in a relationship when he slept with Kai. He said that when Kai was on the couch, and she was like,
I
"Yes,
must.
yes,"
Yeah,
because
he did.
yes, yes.
Yes, he
So
did.
he was giving all that energy, but when the two guys were up there, he was just like his face was really tense. He was upset. And then Chris went over and sat beside Alexia on the couch, and she was like, "Yeah, you could go on the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth date." So she said she was open. They were both open to going on more dates, so that he could get another chance for her. Um, and Darion didn't like that. And so because we don't know where that happened, I'm thinking it probably happened before they brought Kai out. So it probably gave Darion a little extra sauce, when Kai came out because he was upset. First, probably that she's still in contact with Monte. And then secondly, that she was open to going out on the date, which is like, if you moved on, don't worry about what she over here doing.
Right.
You're the one who fucked up. You're the
Well, you know
one
what?
who cheated on her.
Now it makes sense why I said. Now it makes sense why I said. You know, the whole acting thing that he was doing with Kai there and so forth. Like he was trying to get back at Lexi for something.
Yeah, but
But
I don't think that being in the relationship, because I mean, he and Kai would have already have been in a
yeah,
relationship before
but
that
I think
happened.
the things that he was saying and how mean he was being hurtful to her on purpose. Because he was being
Yeah,
mean
it
and
was,
hurtful.
but I think that's more to do with his narcissist. It's more narcissistic behavior than just that interaction with those two guys. It's not being able to take accountability for what you did, and
Oh,
it's
that's
everyone else's fault. Yeah.
yeah, but like Dr. Nicole said, he has a childish behavior. And,
Mm-hmm.
instead of building up their relationship, he's like a child. He knocks it down when it gets to a certain height and then starts all over again. I believe that this is a child throwing a temper tantrum when he sees that somebody else wants to play with his toys, what he called his toys. He's going to start being bad and act up. And I feel like that's what he did because some of the things he said were hurtful to me. I feel like how like he just like blew off him and Lexi's relationship and how like now he's so into Kai. I think when Kai said that they're in a relationship, she was proud to say it.
Mm-hmm. She was.
She was proud to say it. And I don't see how she doesn't see that it was wrong, but that's her.
Yeah.
That's her.
So we have some bonus material that we watched.
Mhm.
So thanks to Little Black Book 91, and we'll link the two videos in the description box below. But he did an interview right after the reunion with Kai, and then he did another one with Alexia. But I'm not sure where that was. I'm not sure if that was still that same night or if he did it on Saturday. But yeah, so the interview with Kai was very interesting.
Very informative. It was an hour-long
uh,
interview, but I actually like paid attention.
Yeah, so she said that there was a gap between when they had the closure date and she started her relationship with Darion, and that the relationship happened the duration of the relationship was less than 30 days. Also, during that relationship, she found that he was cheating. She also found that the condo wasn't in his name and that he was potentially going to have to stay with her for a little bit. We find out that the house that she's living in, and we found this out in Alexia's interview too, is Alexia's house, the one that they were staying in together.
Right.
So when he was wanting to move back in, I mean, that was her house. And that's where I just think, okay, there's to some degree, I mean, he was using her for resources. He was using Alexia for resources, for a place to live. He took Kai out in a date in Alexia's car.
That's his track. Right.
like,
But that was funny. That was funny. It wasn't he didn't want to take Kai out on a date in Alexia's truck, and Kai didn't want to go on a date in Alexia's truck. One of the producers, which was Alexia's friend, said no, use Alexia's truck to go out on the date, and then it was the producer, that same producer girl that's supposed to be Alexia's friend, that was like, when they were leaving the restaurant, grab onto Darion's hand. Kai didn't even want to do that. They told her to do it. So the show was manipulating certain circumstances as well.
I mean, I think, but that's what they do in our reality shows. And I mean, I think to make the distinction, it wasn't that it was Alexia's friend, but they had developed a friendship.
Oh yeah, they had developed a friendship
during the filming. Yeah.
During the filming, yeah. But I just, so here I personally thought that it was Kai who was grabbing his arm and so forth, being disrespectful, but it wasn't Kai. It was the show telling her to. And I think for a relationship show, yeah, we want it to be interesting. And of course, this has nothing to do with why these two ended up having sex and so forth. But I feel like since it's a relationship show, they should just leave things and let it roll as is and not try to push and manipulate situations. But
we also found out that Darion asked for her number after the first date. And she didn't give it to him until after the third date, whether that was after they had sex or not. Who knows? Yeah, so
during that
Darion, go ahead.
During that whole during that whole interview, she wasn't remorseful.
No, at all. Like even less so than she was on the reunion.
Yeah.
She held true to the fact that she didn't feel like she owed Alexia anything. She was still upset about the things Alexia was saying about her. And it was like, girl, it's because this was her man for 14 years. And although, yes, her anger is mostly directed at and should be mostly directed at her significant other who was also in the relationship, you were at fault too because you knew she was in a relationship and you knew that was wrong.
Right. Did you see in some of the comments? I didn't know what a cheater Darion really was till I was reading all the people that he'd been with. I don't know if it was all during the time of the 14 years. I do believe it spanned the 14 years time frame, but the baby's mamas, a German lady, they were just naming off people. And I was quite surprised. I sent you a screenshot of that. And
yeah, but when we get to Alexia's interview, she does kind of like try to outline the timeline of the relationship a little more. She surprisingly was still very defensive of Darion.
Right.
And I mean, she
I wonder what her
family... I wonder if this had not happened on TV, like if the same thing happened, she still found out, but it wasn't filmed, if she still would be with him.
Well, you know what? I'm surprised. She seems to have a really tight-knit family, right? I wonder what her family thinks about this whole entire situation. And we find out that Alexia, her mom and dad are not married, but are still in a relationship as a married couple, which I don't find anything wrong with that. People decide to do what they want to do. But she wanted to get married because she saw a difference in how married couples are. It's something that she wanted to do for herself. But I'm surprised. I wonder what their family has thought about this whole situation after 14 years of this on-off relationship, and he's with other women. Did the family have any input in any of this?
I mean, I'm sure that they probably had feelings. Of course, she's a grown woman, so she makes her own decisions. But one thing is that she had her own home and she had her own car and she wasn't relying on him. So that says something, you know.
I'm surprised. So the condo wasn't in his name. So how was he going to sell the condo if it wasn't in his name? And now
I don't even know what he did for.
And yeah, now he doesn't have a place to stay. So he might have, girl. So Darion, he was saying, I need somewhere to stay. He really did need somewhere to stay when he was saying that through the show.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely, mentally, emotionally abusive. And he was using her, and I mean, she is almost kind of like, I don't know if you could say that he was grooming her, but from a young age, 19, they had been involved with each other. And while she said she does say that she's had other relationships with other people or other situations with other people while she was overseas. And that even when she came back and retired, I think after she retired or the 4 years when she was back, they had been off and on even at that point too. She said she was like in another relationship, and I think that the person wanted to marry her, was it? And then Darion kind of came back in the picture and said that he wanted to like work on things with her. So I think she just had, I guess, like a soul tie with him. It was really hard to break. And I really hope that she focuses on herself and she learns to love herself so that she doesn't accept like anything like that in the future. Because I didn't see it. Maybe I didn't get to that part of the interview, but in the comments of Alexia's interview, they said that he was calling her during the interview. So it's just like, so you're still communicating with them.
And she stopped the interview to go talk to him.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that part.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think that this might not be the last we see of him. Somebody said in the comments that she might be addicted to the adrenaline feeling of issues going on with them, that it's okay, it's not okay, it's okay, it's not okay. Mm-hmm. And that, like, to me, this isn't the first time that they've argued about him and the way that he acts and so forth. This is the first time that she has to actually acknowledge it's the truth. And she can't sweep it under the rug anymore.
And he gaslights her a lot. He tells her that her feelings are not valid, or, her intuition or her instincts are not valid.
But this is a lot of women. This is a lot of women. I feel like this happens to quite a bit of women where they get gaslighted, the men cheat, we forgive, we take them back. They continue on doing whatever they want to do, and we keep trying to fix something that's not fixable instead of managing yourself.
Look at you trying to tie the loop back to Dr. Nicole's gems.
Yeah, Dr. Nicole's gems. People are quite on point. And Lexi needs to do the work to decide.
She does seem to be like a strong woman, and
she didn't. I don't know what TV. She didn't want to get played on. Nobody wants to get played on TV, but that's not the main point of this whole entire thing. She was talking about, on national TV, he did this, and he embarrassed me. That's not.
That's probably what she needed, though.
Yeah,
that's probably what she needed as a wake up call. But I mean, overall, I think it was a really good season. Different than last season. We had a different dynamic. We actually had a couple that just had a really bad relationship. And so we were able to see that through. I can't wait to see the next season. I know Put a Ring on It is coming back out in October, so maybe they'll have something in October first.
Yeah, it was good. But people, we want to make sure that you continue to watch. We will be on later on this evening for Housewives of the Potomac. And on Wednesdays, we have our Married at First Sight. Which is an interesting season. Yes. So please
don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and follow us on Instagram at The Real on the Real.
Thank you, everybody, and bye to Put a Ring on It. And I wonder if we should do a recap of all the couples. No.
Bye, guys.
Bye.